Nestled among the mountains of West Virginia and directly adjacent to the Ohio River sits the quiet town of Moundsville, West Virginia. Settled in 1771, Moundsville has a vast and storied history, much of which is centered around the former West Virginia State Penitentiary. Today, the former prison is instrumental to the town because of the revenue generated through tourism and year-round events that are held on its grounds and within its walls. But historically, the penitentiary is known on a national level for its violent past and its very haunting present. Sitting beside the Grave Creek Mound, an ancient burial mound for which the town is named, and positioned between streets lined with houses and businesses, the West Virginia State Penitentiary is an imposing sight, which was what the designers of this Gothic structure intended. The site for the penitentiary was chosen due to its proximity to the then state capital of Wheeling, West Virginia. Opening its doors to prisoners in 1876, the West Virginia State Penitentiary became instantly notable as the location where the most violent prisoners in the country were held. Initially, each inmate within the prison had a job to do, such as broom making, clothes making, and construction, which allowed the prison itself to be almost completely self-sustaining. However, the steady influx of more violent criminals within such close proximity to each other took its toll as gangs began to form and fights for supremacy and leadership became commonplace. 5 by 7 foot cells began to house 3 prisoners each, and the total occupancy limit was stretched beyond its maximum. Within the prison walls, violence and riots became a part of prison life, with 2 major riots breaking out, one in 1973 and the other in 1986. In 1986, the executive assistant for the State Department of Corrections was quoted as saying, "We realize how vulnerable we are and why it is necessary to go by the book and enforce the regulations. It's like a highway. There's a constant flow of inmates and the guards are like traffic cops. The inmates are always in charge of an institution. You cannot operate a facility without the cooperation of the inmates, and that points out just how vulnerable we are." For those most violent inmates sentenced to death, executions were carried out within the penitentiary walls. Before 1951, hanging was a method of execution, with 85 men meeting this fate. After 1951, the penitentiary began using electrocution. 9 prisoners were executed in the chair that became known as Old Sparky. However, within the prison walls, execution at the hands of the state was much less common than death at the hands of a fellow inmate. For example, an inmate named R.D. Wall, believed to be a prison snitch by other inmates, was stabbed and mutilated in a basement area known as the Hole. One of the most notorious inmates of the prison was convicted murderer William Snyder, also known as Red. Highly feared by other prisoners, Red was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, and it is said ordered the murders of other inmates. This led to Red being housed in the north wall area of the prison where the most violent of inmates were kept. On November 16, 1992, the man who was a gang leader and killer of other inmates, who liked smoking, chewing tobacco, and enjoyed watching the daily soap opera Days of Our Lives, was stabbed to death by a friend who was hoping to gain favor within a rival gang. Within the walls of the West Virginia State Penitentiary, death by murder, execution, or natural causes was a daily threat to inmates. The graves of many who died within the prison walls are located about 3 miles away in a small cemetery that was once a part of the prison farm. Inmates whose bodies were not claimed by family were placed in a new prison uniform and laid in a coffin built by fellow inmates and buried with a small, nondescript marker in Whitegate Cemetery. With such a violent and deadly past, it is no wonder that the West Virginia State Penitentiary is known as one of the most haunted locations in the United States. It is because of this moniker that the Soul Sisters Paranormal team traveled to Moundsville to determine for ourselves if inmates of the past are still locked within the walls of the West Virginia State Penitentiary.
We hear you. We heard that. Can you make another sound for us?
investigation of the West Virginia State Penitentiary was the first that we conducted as a group. As such, our equipment arsenal was much more limited than what we had on subsequent investigations. However, the equipment that we did deploy that evening was effective, in that we were able to capture several pieces of paranormal evidence throughout the night. We started the night with a walkthrough of the penitentiary in order to familiarize ourselves with the buildings and to deploy stationary equipment in various locations. Starting with the upstairs infirmary, we left a voice recorder inside this large, cavernous room in an attempt to capture the voices of any spirits that may be wandering the hallways of this area. Additionally, we left the night vision video camera to run throughout the night on the stairwell, on which footsteps are said to be heard and inmates are said to yell as they walk up and down the stairs. After leaving the infirmary, we made our way through the cell block into the north wall area of the prison. Specifically, we entered the solitary confinement area to the cell where Red Snyder was killed by fellow inmate Rusty Lassiter. Through our research, we knew that in life, Red liked to smoke, chew tobacco, and watch Days of Our Lives. Due to these habits, we left a pack of cigarettes and a can of tobacco on the bed in the cell. We also left a laptop with 1 hour battery life and a downloaded episode of Days of Our Lives to run unattended in the cell. It was our hope that as one of the first paranormal investigation groups to use this trigger item, we would be rewarded with a sign from the spirit of Red. As we will reveal later, it seems that Red was very grateful for the items that we left for him. Throughout the night, we divided up into 2 teams to explore each area of the prison. Guest investigator Christopher, along with investigator Jenny, returned to the infirmary, while Cara, Michelle, and I decided to return to the area known as The Hole, a dark, dank basement area which was the murder site of inmate R.D. Wall. The absence of night vision video equipment highlights how truly dark this location is as we conducted EVP sessions in this eerie underground location.
R.D. Wall, we're back. We came back one last time. One last time to talk to you. Would you like to speak with us? We wanted to talk with you, R.D.
Flash.
Will you talk with us? There are just 3 of us here now, 3 women. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to hurt you. If you're here, can you light up this meter? Can you light it up?
Flash.
Come to the chair.
I'm gonna take one of you, Shell. Flash.
Can you show us that you're here? Can you give us a sign?
After leaving the basement, Cara, Michelle, and I proceeded up to the infirmary, while Jenny and Christopher made their way to Red's cell. Again, it is the area in and around the infirmary where footsteps are said to be heard and doors are reported to slam on their own. As we made our way to the top of the stairway, we stopped to listen for any sounds of the paranormal.
Is there somebody here? Someone coming upstairs? Will you come upstairs?
All right, time for your medicine. Let's go. We have some pretty nurses ready to give you your medicine. Come on.
During the long night of the investigation, we all had, at some point or another, heard unexplained noises and voices from the stairway area of the infirmary. We decided to return as a group to conduct another EVP session.
Okay. Can you light up our meter or make a sound if you were a guard here? Were you murdered here?
Will you come closer? Come closer to our light?
We're near the stairwell, if that helps you, because I know we've got a couple lights in some different places, so come to the stairwell. Let us know you're here.
During our night at the West Virginia State Penitentiary, we all had personal experiences that led us to believe that the prison lives up to its haunted reputation. Running footsteps, banging doors, and the feelings of being touched occurred throughout the night. It was during our review of our audio and video footage, however, that we had recorded evidence to back up our opinions. During the night, we left the night vision video camera to run unattended for 3 hours on the top of the infirmary stairwell. We captured numerous instances of footsteps and loud banging doors that we cannot explain, and during which no one was present in the area. We will play 3 of these recorded clips. The most interesting pieces of evidence that we captured that night came from Red's cell. As a reminder, we left tobacco products on the bed, along with a laptop that for 1 hour ran an episode of Days of Our Lives. We also left a stationary voice recorder. During the night, Christopher and Jenny returned to the cell, and Christopher asked Red if he saw all of the stuff that we had left for him. The answer was clearly a yes. We will play this clip 3 times so that you may clearly hear it.
Red, are you in here with us now? Did you see everything that we left you? Red, are you in here with us now? Did you see everything that we left you? Red, are you in here with us now? Did you see everything that we left you?
Another EVP that we captured in Red Cell occurred about 30 minutes after the battery on the laptop had died. We only left 1 hour of battery life on the laptop so that it would completely shut off after the battery life had run out. Therefore, the only thing running in the cell at this time is the audio voice recorder, and none of us were present in the area at this time. In this 30-second clip, you can hear what we believe is a male voice saying good night, followed by a finger snap, followed by one more good night. We will play this clip twice so that you may clearly hear it. Our final piece of paranormal evidence, which also comes from Red Cell, is actually a series of responses on our EMF detectors followed by an EVP. This session occurred during our last walk around of the prison, and we had asked the prison employee there that night to walk with us during this final sweep. Our thought being that any spirits are more comfortable with people they regularly interact with. Investigators Christopher and Michelle are both holding an EMF detector which measures energy levels. Neither one has any electronic device on his or her person that would cause these EMF spikes, nor is there any physical energy source in this area. It seems that Red likes interacting with Christopher, as the EMF spikes occurred more frequently on his meter than Michelle's, even though they were standing shoulder to shoulder. We will play this clip in its entirety so that you may see this EMF interaction.
Sorry, Miss Spike.
Oh, full spike. Wow.
Wow. Really yours.
Okay. Can you stop mine and go to Michelle's?
Can you come to me? That's interesting.
Go to Michelle's reader.
Come to this one. Come to me. I'm a bit dead, I guess.
I know.
It's okay.
It's okay.
That's weird. It came right back down here and started going again.
I know. I am afraid to ask which one they like better. Me.
Do you like that Chris is here? Light that.
Yeah.
Light it up one more time. Keep going. That's a lot of energy. Thank you. Can you light up Michelle's meter now? Just Michelle's? To let us know that you actually know what we're talking about?
What if you switch meters?
We could.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
logical.
okay.
We're gonna
Okay.
try. We're gonna try to switch meters
Okay,
now.
we're gonna try switch meters. All right. Oh, okay. Look, that's incredible.
Oh my god.
So you like Chris, huh?
That's incredible. Okay, can you stop on my reader? Can you stop? Please stop. All the way. Please stop all the way. All the way. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can you light up Michelle's reader? Only her reader. Can you light hers up?
Can you light up this one?
Take it all the way to red.
No?
Can you light up?
Can you light up mine?
Light up Chris's again.
Can you light up mine all the way to the red?
I know it takes a lot of energy, but can you do it one more time before we leave? Because we have to leave. Can you light it up one more time, please?
Can you light up my reader one more time? I know it's a lot of energy.
Do you want us to leave? Is that why you're not doing it?
Do you want us to stay? Was that a no? Did you hear that?
Hear anything? No, that sounds. Okay, we're gonna go.
All right, can you try lighting up my reader one more time before we leave?
Tell Christopher goodbye. Tell him goodbye. Take his reader all the way to red.
We have to go now.
All right, how about this? We're going to leave here in a few minutes, and if you don't light one of those meters all the way up to red, they're going to take everything that they left in that cell. But if you light it up all the way to red, they might leave you a cigarette or two.
That's fair.
So if you want to smoke, there you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for communicating with us. We'll leave you some cigarettes. You're welcome. How cool.
No way.
Thanks, Red.
Besides the very interesting interaction on the EMF meters, that clip also contained an EVP that none of us heard at the time, but was evident during our review of the footage. After the EMF responses to the "leave you a cigarette" comment, Christopher says thank you. Immediately after, the recorder picks up an EVP saying what we believe is no thank you. This EVP, coupled with the high spikes on the EMF meters, lead us to believe that perhaps Red's spirit still inhabits his cell. We will play this clip twice more so that you may clearly hear this EVP.
If you light it up all the way to red, they might leave you a cigarette or two.
That's fair.
So if you want to smoke, there you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for communicating with us. We'll leave you some cigarettes.
They might leave you a cigarette or two.
That's fair.
So if you want to smoke, there you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for communicating with us. We'll leave you some cigarettes. You're welcome. How cool.
In the town of Moundsville, West Virginia, stands a penitentiary that is unlike any other in the United States. With a reputation marked by violence, riots, and overcrowding, the penitentiary officially closed its doors as a prison in 1995. However, with a long history that included torture and death, many believe that locked within its walls are the spirits of those forever imprisoned inside of this imposing structure. The evidence that Soul Sisters Paranormal captured furthers the evidence of paranormal activity, specifically around the area where Red Snyder was murdered. After his death, no one came forward to claim Red's body, but he was not interred at White Gate Cemetery like the other unclaimed inmates. Just as Red was feared and respected in life, he was also feared in death. So much so that the other inmates took up a collection to have Red buried in Riverview Cemetery. It is here, overlooking the Ohio River, that the remains of the infamous murderer Red Snyder were placed in an unmarked grave. But while his body may lie here, it seems that his spirit will forever roam his cell at the West Virginia State Penitentiary.